אנו נוטים לחשוב שחברה משותפת קיימת רק אצלנו, כשחושבים רגע מגלים כי סוגיית חברה משותפת קיימת במקומות רבים בעולם. אני שמח להזמין נציגי שגרירויות זרות להציג את ההתנסות שלהם בסוגיה זו. I am honored to invite His Excellency Jean Daniel Roch, Ambassador of Switzerland, to share with us the Swiss experience in building their own shared society.
On the one hand, if you look at the dry facts, you might think that we have quite a lot in common. Our two countries have roughly the same size, the same number of inhabitants. Both we had to create an economy without access to raw materials. Therefore, we are both world leaders in innovation, and we are a very competitive economy. Last but not least, if you look at the structure of our population, you see also large diversity. Actually, I like to say to my Israeli friends that I come from a minority of 20%, the French-speaking minority, which is more or less similar to the size of the Arab minority in Israel, even though I heard today that this Arab minority would rather be like 25%, which reflects the Latin minority in Switzerland, French speakers plus Italian speakers. So these are the sort of facts which give some similarities between our two countries. And then you have all the rest, which is very different. Our history, obviously, but our political systems are also the product of our history. As a matter of fact, if the president of Israel is saying that you have only 4 tribes, we have 23. And our country is an alliance between 23 tribes that we call cantons, which used to be states. With very large autonomy, they can raise taxes, even income taxes are being raised by the cantons and by the commune. You pay usually 80% of your taxes at the local level, which of course then gives a huge responsibility to the local level, to the cantons, to invest this money in a wise way so as to stimulate education. We have 23 education systems, by the way, in Switzerland, to stimulate the economy, to stimulate innovation, and to make out of your little canton a very competitive place. The federal system is probably what allows us to live together without too many problems, even though in Switzerland, like anywhere else, there are always temptations by some people who believe they can play on nationalist feelings to score political points, to smear, to criticize, to create fears against the minority. But thanks God, so far in the almost 200, a bit more than 200 years of the existence of the modern state of Switzerland, except for a small period of civil war in 1847, but not between French speakers and German speakers, between Catholics and Protestants. Nice war in a Swiss way. 3 weeks, 100 casualties. And actually the general of the winning side was the founder of the Red Cross also, and the drafter of the first Geneva Conventions. So he took great efforts to prevent atrocities against civilians and to humiliate the losing side, which I think is the key to living together after a war. So, the diversity that I mentioned before is represented in the cabinet. There is no law and no rule about who should be part of the cabinet, but there is an unwritten rule which is saying that among the 7 members of the government, by law, by constitution, we have only 7 ministers, and one of them is the president, rotating, and there is no prime minister. But there is a tradition which has been respected since the modern state has been established, that 2 out of the 7 ministers should come from the Latin minority. Actually, today we have 3 out of 7, so which means that the minority of 25% is represented by 40% of the seats in the cabinet. This is a I would say, our federal system has been well established, and we don't really have big challenges there, I would say. The real challenges of the last 25 years has been to integrate a new wave of immigration, which has been mostly the result of the wars in the Balkans to start with. It's starting 25 years ago. But also the result of the shortage of labor force in our economy, for which we imported large amounts of people, mostly from Europe, mostly from our neighbors, to the fact that today 1 Swiss person out of 3 has either one or both parents which were not born Swiss. So like 30% of the population comes from the immigration. It's much more in the cities. In Geneva, it is 58%. In Basel, it is 61%. And even the leaders of our nationalist conservative parties are saying that Switzerland is a very successful integration model. I think that there are 2 main reasons why we managed so well to integrate these new immigrants who often came from different cultural backgrounds. One of them is, yes, the army. Yes, we have a conscription service. All people who have a Swiss passport, when they are 18 or 20, they have